Why does the mouse look so shaky? Okay, now cool. Replit. Let's go there, and let's go back to this thing, because after yesterday's, or I don't know, what was it like? So let's rethink that again. As I said, I think it makes no sense. I think I wrote it here. It makes no sense for the validators to register as validators. It just basically, you know, you're minting something, and then basically you also can validate stuff, right? So you validate. So as a validator, you can validate a token, and when you do that, if the validations for this token are 3 or more, then we reward the owner. Okay, but we can't reward the owner, you know, more than once. So what we can do is, you know, we can do that trick of like, it's pretty dirty, but like we set this to -1, and so there's kind of a general require that basically the validator's token be positive, right? So basically the token, you know, but I'm not sure if these it's bigger or equal than 0. I think if it doesn't exist, it will be 0 anyway. I think, I don't know, we can test that actually. And so we return token has already been validated more than 3 times. There's something to test. And then we reward the validator. Now let's try to think. So is there an easy way that we can think about a reward mechanism? I think that's really all we need, right? We just now need to figure out a way to mint or to call the coin, right? So I guess what these only, you know, what this kind of has is I don't know, do we really need to have these things as separate things? And we have the coin contract. So and what the coin contract does, to be honest, is it also has a mint, right? So I guess we can just can we just have like a public version of these that is like custom functions, and so basically have a mint that is this amount and it's public, and then what it does is it just to be honest, it just calls the internal function. So it just calls the internal function. Do we need to do anything else? Do we need? Well, again, okay, so require to do. We need to require. Actually, we can do that easily. So in the constructor, we say address NFT contract or owner, oh God, deployer, right? So basically, address private deployer. The idea is we're gonna enforce that the you can only I'm stupid. Deployer equals deploy. So basically what we're doing is you can only require, so we're only going to allow the mint to just say require that the account, no, the sender, like how do I get the sender? Message sender, I think it's just like, okay, so okay, that's it, message sender. So the message sender equals deployer. So this is because we want to make sure only the NFT contract can mint ANSYS coins. What am I doing? Anything else? I don't know. Then we call the mint stuff. I think that's fairly simple. So we just give money to that address, and that's it, really. Now let's see. I think that's it, really, right? So we have the contract. We have the. I'm a user. I have an IPFS content ID that I want to mint. I go ahead and mint that. I'm going to assume you're not stupid. I'm going to just put stuff out there so you allow people to mint your own content. It's your fault if you do that. It's fine as well. So if you're working on a project, you're doing research and stuff, then you're going to upload that to IPFS, and then you will only know the CID. So you're only going to be the one that can mint that. It's fine to just go and and if this content is publicly available, like in YouTube, you're all invited to go and download my videos and mint them as if they were your own. That's fine. I won't get mad at you. And then basically you mint the token, and what does it do? That gives you the token, and but you're only, so minting doesn't give you any coins, right? So it just gives you the content. And so then there's another mechanism which by means of which people can validate CIDs, and when you're validating a CID, you get rewarded. Validation is a reward owner. So you reward the validator. Is and like that or like that? And it's going to be less or equal than 3. So it's going to be between 0 and 3. What, 3 times? So that's the precondition, and then basically you increase that, and so you reward the validator, you reward the owner. Once something's been validated 3 times, you're done. I don't know what happens when, to be honest, I don't know what happens when, like, do things roll back if the gas is not enough? This is an important question. But okay, I think we have everything from a code perspective. We just need to test that correctly. Now I just have to think about the right mechanism of compensation, right? Because when you do that, you're going to get basically rewarded by validating CID tokens, and you're rewarded by minting stuff. So the obvious attack is I mint an NFT, and I have 3 other addresses that are basically validating stuff, and so you can validate your own content because at the end of the day it's anonymous. Now the only question here is, how do we make it so it's not so you can't just validate your own tokens? Maybe a way to do that is that we don't really, yeah, I think that would solve it. What would solve it is that we don't allow people, okay, so when you validate, yeah, so we'll do like that. You can't just give a token ID, right? I think the best way to do that is if we force people, like in order to validate, you would basically have to call a function to get a token to validate, right? And that's going to be a random one. So, it's chances yours are low, and therefore it's not worth it to kind of have addresses, kind of paying, because you're going to have to pay gas to get that stuff. So unless it becomes ridiculously cheap to just call that, but you're essentially paying money to get a reward. So, it still has a flaw, which is like, what if the Ansys coin is it becomes so popular that it's worth so much more money that it's more, it's more valuable than ETH, and so it becomes worth it to just kind of spam the thing and get validations. I don't know how I would handle that edge case, right? So yeah, so that's definitely so what about Solidity get a random index of a mapping? Can I do that? Solidity how to get random numbers. I guess I can just byte shifting, generate stats. Okay, I guess probably just so there's magical arrays. What the proper name for this method is just magical arrays. Okay, so there is random index. Pop. Third pass. Because that would be the idea, but I'm running out of time to actually code that now. But I think pick winner. Okay, so there's what does do random private returns uint, block difficulty, block timestamp, players. And then invoke random function in a pick winner example. Okay, so you do random, then you do modulo players length. Okay, fair enough. That seems easy. We could do something. It's still pseudo random, right? As I say, I don't know really if that works at all, but we could use that initially, right? So we can just use an array of entrants. It's not a map, it's an array. So these would basically be Can I just take the mapping as an array? That will make things easier. Okay, but something like that, and then so definitely something like these. So something like that, and then basically what the function would just say is you know what? This should be a validation ID. This shouldn't be the token ID, because people might know the token ID, so it should be a validation ID. I have to figure out a way to do that. I mean, it could be token ID, but it's got to be something that we make sure the the end user doesn't tamper with these. It shouldn't be able to bypass the token suggestion. To be validated. So we want the end user to get that and then validate that. And then I think that's enough. It means you don't control what you want to validate, right? So it means you get something, then you validate it, and then you get the reward, and that's it. So you can't just validate your own things. You're lucky, but given the proper scale of these, then it shouldn't happen. So I think that's, or you'd have to basically invest a lot of money to get the right ID, and then it just becomes potentially unfeasible economically speaking. Yeah, and I think that we're good to go, although I'm feeling a bit unsure in terms of like deploying these and paying all the money and testing and how things work, how things don't work. This should be really it. I don't know. How do we test that? How do we make sure that because it's just a bunch of code I haven't even looked at, and I don't know. I just have to think about a testing strategy for these, but I think that should be fine. Okay, so I'm just missing that. See you next time. Well, I might just be able to kind of code stuff in between sort of other things that I have to do today, and then next time that I stream, I'll just probably be testing. Let's see. See you next time.